I came down to the beach this morning. Shut up, squirrel! Trying to get a good line and a squirrel's gotta go walk on it. Anyways, I came down to the beach this morning. It's always interesting to see how much ice piles up along the shoreline, you know? There's 2, 3, 4 feet of ice piled up here. It's crazy. It's beautiful. A lot of it comes from the fresh water. The rivers all the way at the head of the bay. And then the rivers wash big pieces of it out. With the tide cycle, the tides go up, they break up the freshwater ice, and then the tide goes out and it washes all the ice out, and then it kind of washes up along the shoreline here. Cold this morning, like 7 degrees or something. But beautiful, beautiful morning. Sometimes on real big years, the ice will get so thick and then the high tides will come in and they'll melt this cliff away and there'll be like this big ice cliff with caves that go back in it and stuff. It's pretty cool and cold. Oh my gosh, there seems like so much that has to happen in order for us to get out of town. If you watched our last video, you could probably tell that Eve and I need some much needed R&R. It is hard to do everything and keep it all going, keep all the balls in the air, keep all the plates in the air and everything. Anyways, right now it's all about trying to get stuff ready to go before we leave for a month, because we are going to go visit Eve's dad on the big island of Hawaii, which I think we're all looking very forward to. But in order to make that happen, we have got so many little details that has to happen with the farm, with our equipment, with my boat, with my business, with everything. So that's what I'm doing, is right now I'm pulling my boat out of the water, then I gotta go move equipment around and start getting other things ready to go. So, but today it's about pulling the boat, and it is cold out. It is really cold.
There is always 1 million things we have to do to get the farm ready for us to leave. We are going to Hawaii. We need a vacation, so we are taking that vacation. My dad has a house in Hawaii and a car we can use, so we're able to take a very affordable vacation and go hang out with Grandpa and just get away from the grind. Yeah, and just hang out and play as a family. It's so nice. So one of the big things that I have to do is get enough feed for all the animals to last for the whole time we're gone. So I kind of have my first load of stuff here. So I have some alfalfa hay for the goats, grain for the goats and the horses, rabbit feed, and another salt lick for the horses. And that's kind of my first round of stuff. And then I also need to go get more dog food, cat food. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing now, is unloading the car with the first load of stuff. So these are the bricks of alfalfa hay. Why is everything so heavy that I have to do? And why are you always in the way? Oh, oh goats. Oh goats. Why do we have goats? I can't remember. Taking this to fill the bunny bin with food. Here is, I try to keep everything contained in something varmint proof, rodent proof, because they will eat everything. So we got these aluminum trash cans, or these metal trash cans. Did you know that nothing is easy when it's in the teens and the single digits? Nothing. This is the horse grain bin.
I've got a really big hill getting up to my shop, and so it's pretty steep, and this thing is massive and heavy. And just the other day when I was there, I watched a big truck, utility truck, come up the hill, and it made it just kind of to this steep spot, and then it started to slide backwards, and it was a big truck, and it started to slide backwards like a, you know, it's like a huge utility truck, and it slid backward, and I thought it was gonna roll, you know, with a huge load on the back of it and everything, and it didn't. It managed to stay upright, kind of went in the ditch. Fortunately, nothing happened. So I need to avoid that from happening. One year, a bunch of years ago, I was coming down my driveway and I had chains on my truck, all 4 tires, all the way around. I had a pair of chains on the boat trailer, and my dad's truck was behind it, chained up, plow truck, huge, heavy plow truck, and that had chains the whole way around on it. And he was kind of trying to act as my brakes, and we started to go down my driveway from my shop, and the whole thing started to slide. Everything started sliding, and I was screaming out the window, hit the brakes, hit the brakes. He was on the brakes. Because what happened was, sometimes if you're going downhill or if you're on a hill with chains on and you stop completely, sometimes there's no chain underneath of the tire. It's just the rubber sitting on the road, because there's not chain everywhere all over the tire. And that was the majority of kind of what happened. And so that was going downhill, which the difference between going downhill and uphill is, if you're going uphill, you can always spin your tires, which will grab more chain, will go underneath of your tire, and so it's less likely that you bump into that kind of situation. But that's what we're going to try to avoid here. And for now, I got to chain up the truck. All right, we made it up the hill. That was the hard part, kinda. All right, well, I got the boat where it needs to go. Now I hooked up my gooseneck, and I still got my chains on, so now I'm gonna move my skid steer and excavator over to my dad's place so he can use them for moving hay bales while I'm gone. Oh my gosh, so many things to do before we leave. Here's the water's frozen out here. Well, for one, this tub is frozen solid, but more important than that is this spigot that we have out here. It's frozen completely solid, so I'm gonna thaw it out with my blowtorch, hopefully without also burning my house down. Oh, it's starting to go. It's starting, I think. No, it stopped. More heat. I'll tell you why this happened. It happened because we had this Y on here, and so these valves, the way that these work is the actual valve that closes off the water supply is back through the wall, and that's like, you know, about 8 inches into the house, or a foot into the house is where the actual valve is that closes it off. So that valve shuts it off, and then the pipe right here, water is all allowed to drain out when you shut the valve off, so there's no water on this outside of the house, which gets cold and it freezes. However, this was on here, see, this was on, and somebody had left these 2 valves closed like that. You see, so that one was closed. Well, and the other one too. This one was closed also. So both of those were closed, so water couldn't drain out. Even though this maybe was off, water couldn't drain out of here and leave this system. So it kept water inside of this pipe, and that caused it to freeze up. These are all the little things, details. You need to make sure all those details are done, and it's easy to let them slip and forget them, not see them. So we're gonna see if now it's warm enough that I can open the water and hopefully drain it out. Oh yeah, look at that. It's all shut off inside of the house where it's still warm. That way the pipe doesn't freeze up. That's called a frost-free hose bib. And that thing is awesome because we need water for animals, chickens, all kinds of stuff like that. I have something similar in the barn, but it's a little more complicated. I'll show you what it is. Hi, goaties. There's the goats. So, going into the root cellar here. I have a timer switch in my root cellar. That way, you can't forget to shut the lights off in here. Or if you do forget, it just shuts off by itself. I feel like that's essential for outside spaces. That's pretty good. Now we're gonna go through the second door. This is the magic door here that actually keeps everything from freezing. That's called a vestibule, where you have one door and then you have another door. So now we're inside here. And so it never freezes in here. And it always stays above temperature. We've got groceries, some stuff from Costco, and then we've got all of our potatoes in here. All of our carrots are down, stored in sand, and all of our beets are down in there, stored in sand. But up here is what I wanted to show you. So this is water. Comes from our house, right here through this water line, comes in here and up there. And so these are motorized valves. And so the way this works is this goes outside up to the barn to water the horses. So it's actually a light switch outside by the barn. When you turn that light switch on, this valve opens. It's a three-way valve, and it opens so that water can go from here up there and it goes up to the barn. And then the moment you shut it back off again, it closes the valve and it changes it because it's a three-way valve, and now the water is allowed to come back here, back here, back here, down here, and actually it drains out to daylight. So as soon as you shut this water off, all of the water, that line very carefully goes uphill all the way up to the barn, a story and a half up, and that keeps it from freezing. And then the moment you shut it back off, it's allowed to drain all the way back out because the whole thing is on a slight downhill slope, so water never stays in that line anywhere. There's also freeze tape on here just in case this it gets cold enough here. It's all off right now, but freeze tape is all over that just to keep it ever from freezing. So here you can see this is the line that goes up to the barn. It's going up to the barn, and this is the back drain where it drains back out. And it comes through the wall and drains out, and the excess water goes down here to our goats. The other one comes through the wall and it goes up there. So I built that myself, and I'll show you what it does up top for the horses. So in some places you can use a frost-free hose bib or something like what's on our house, but those don't work in all applications, especially for a building where you want water on multiple floors in space that's never heated. So here it is outside. That's where it comes out right there. So watch this. So now I've got a light switch under a panel here, and the moment you turn this switch on, it opens that valve, and it takes a second, but there comes the water and it fills the trough. Look at that. So that's so the horses have a place to get water even when everything is frozen. And inside of that trough now I've got a stock tank heater which kicks on when it's really cold. So now as soon as I turn the switch off here, turn the switch off, cover covers it up, the water shuts off. It takes a second, but it actually all drains back down, and it drains out down there to the goats. There it goes, all the excess that was in the line. It all just drained out. And now that whole line is clear. There's not a drop of water, well maybe a drop or two, inside of the plastic line, and it never freezes. And so that's how we manage water at the flip of a switch in sub-zero temperatures. Well, it's not sub-zero right now, but it would work in sub-zero temperatures. It's about 5 degrees right now, and still working. So I can also water the goats right here. Another timer switch. Turn that on for 1 minute. There you go. Shut it off again. The whole line drains out. but it's pretty sweet. It works really, really good. Now I'll show you guys what happens when we open the water line. That's how we keep all of our animal water from freezing in the wintertime in Alaska. What you doing?
This is yet one more task that must be done before we leave. It's midnight on Christmas Eve. And I am shoving sauerkraut in jars. And I'll put it all in the fridge so it keeps. And we eat it all winter and all spring.
Are you bringing anything on our trip?
Ivan makes fun of me because I bring sauerkraut everywhere with me. It is so healthy and good for you, and it's a vegetable my kids will always eat.
A gallon Ziploc bag full of sauerkraut.
I'm a goofball. There's no doubt about it.
I can't tell you how many times we've been going through security and they're going through our stuff and then they pull out this big purple bag of stuff. And they're like, what's this? And she's like, it's my sauerkraut. And they're like, okay, I don't even want to deal with that. And they just put it back in there, send us on through. It's really, really good. I used to not be a sauerkraut fan. This is one of the best batches she's had in a while.
There's a couple other things Eden managed to do before we go. Bake some pumpkin pies. This is how you light the boiler in my house. First off, I come in here and I check this gauge right here. It says monitor this gauge if burning wood. And I look at it and I go, okay, it says that this is 140 degrees. This is what I call the battery. It's a thermal battery, 500 gallons. And I look at that gauge and I say, if it is less than 130 degrees Fahrenheit, you should light a fire. If it is greater than 150 degrees, it used to say here, do not light fire. So we're at 140. That's a okay place to light a fire. Anywhere below about 130, 140 degrees, great. Let's light a fire. Now, this is the boiler. I make sure that this is closed right there. Now we're going to open it up and fill it full of wood. I'm going to shake the ashes down a little bit. We don't need that many ashes in there. This is for this little handle. You can shake some ashes down. Now, air can get to the bottom of the wood through the grates. See that? That's a good thing. So I've got one of my little sled. I've got that full of wood. That's how much you can fit in this boiler. It's quite a bit of wood. The idea is really just to fill it up. With a boiler is different than just a wood stove. A wood stove, you don't have to fill it. You don't necessarily need to fill it. With a boiler, you actually want to run it as hot as you can. You want to run it hot. But in order to do that, you also need a place to put all that excess heat. That's what the thermal battery is all about. It takes all the heat from the fire and it stores it in this big 500-gallon water tank for the house to pull from for the whole day. And this water will heat our house, and it also heats our domestic hot water. And I can take another triangular piece of wood, and I like to stick it inside of that V, kind of like that. And that way I can get my blowtorch in there. Maybe I'm even going to turn it around. I like that better. Now I'm going to get my blowtorch, and I'm going to stick it right there and blow heat back through the cracks in between these boards, and that allows it to naturally draw air also up, and kind of it channels out between these two logs and gets it going good that way. But now that I have that set up, that's where it's initially going to light. Now I can put a bunch more wood in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good load. Not totally full, but it's pretty good. Now we're going to light it. And I just used my trusty turbo torch for this. That's blasting fire back in there and heating that wood right up. So here's the other very important part to the boiler, and so it has a blower fan. This is the master switch right here. So now that I got that burning, I got that going, and I'm sitting here and I'm watching it. I go up here and I'm going to turn this switch to 5 hours. That's about how long it takes to burn all the fire out of there. Now I'm going to turn this as a blower fan. I'm going to turn that to 15 minutes. I got to turn it past 1 hour and then back to 15 minutes. Now we're blowing air literally on the bottom of that fire. I do it this way with the turbo torch. Realistically, you could also use a bunch of paper and cardboard and stuff like that, which might be better, but you know, this is kind of the habit that I've got into. Right now, I'm kind of lighting some birch logs, which they burn great for a long time, but they are a little bit harder to get going than spruce. We burn a lot of spruce here too, which doesn't burn as long, but it lights like that as long as it's dry. So this is taking a little bit more fuel than it usually does. It's burning good. I can take my torch out of there. Look at that. Does it have that fan going up there? This thing is ripping. Now it's time to close the door. It's as easy as that. Now we just walk away. I know that when this timer switch runs out in 15 minutes, it's going to switch to just being naturally aspirated, which means it'll just draw air. The fan will shut off and it switches to just naturally aspirated, but the fan kind of helps really get it going in that first 15 minutes, so it's cranking good and hard and hot. So that is starting the wood-fired boiler. We do have an oil backup. That's this guy right here, and they just switch back and forth automatically. It just senses the water temperature inside of the big thermal battery, the big 500-gallon tank, and if the temperature drops below a certain point, then it knows there's no wood fire, and then it says, okay, then it starts up the oil boiler, and that gets things going. But we like to burn a lot of wood, and my boiler will burn wood or coal. So we can burn wood, coal, or oil to heat our house. Can you believe it? It is 9:30 in the morning here in Alaska. The sun won't still be up for another hour and a half or something. It's actually quite dark. These cameras do a really good job in low light. But things still need to be done. I'm going out to feed the horses right now. Hey, horses. There's the horses. There's Alex, Violet, and Star's around here somewhere. She's probably just down below. So here's all of our hay. We can get about 400 bales in here. Here where we are in Homer, Alaska, we typically go through about 100 bales per horse. So I have here at my house right now only 3 horses, so we need 300 bales, but I have extra, which is always good to have extra. So first thing I do here is I turn on the water because they drank a bunch of water last night. You can see the water going in there now. So I'll just let that run while I feed the horses. Open this door. It's all these little Dutch doors here. And open that one. You open this one. So each one of these is kind of a different little stall that I have. So each one of these doors, and so you get the hay coming out into all the different little areas. This is good hay too. It's pretty high quality stuff. Our horses is actually kind of a breed that my grandfather had been cultivating for a long time, that real cold weather resistant, and also they don't founder easily. Look at this bad horse over here. I got Violet is being bad. She's trying to get into the alfalfa. These are alfalfa bales. She's trying to mess with it and get into it because I haven't given her hay yet. But she's trying to break into it. There you go. There's your hay. The water's actually starting to overflow because I had to set up some camera work, which takes extra time. We're going to shut it off. There we go, we shut it off. Totally full. That's okay. The horses will drink that down here in a minute. Here's Violet. She would rather try to get to the alfalfa, hey girl, than eat her hay, which is down there. She really wants the alfalfa. So most of this is all Timothy. That's what we grow on the homestead. Most of the fields are Timothy. There's some other stuff in there too, but primarily it's Timothy. And Timothy is great horse hay. Really great, especially depending on the crop. Every year it's different, you know. Alaska's a hard place to make hay. Some years are great. Other years it rains all summer. And so trying to find like a 5-day weather window in mid-June to mid-July where you can get good hay, where you can get it to dry out, can be really tricky. And so Eve buys some alfalfa to supplement the goats. That's primarily to try to keep their fat content really high, and it makes for better milk and better kid rearing, you know, better baby goats. survivability and stuff like that. So that's why we have some alfalfa that she buys. Not much. She just gives a little bit a day, maybe like one little sliver or something like that. Not that when I say sliver, I don't mean like one piece like this. I mean hay typically comes out in a flake. You know, so this is alfalfa, but like that's a kind of a sliver or a flake of hay. It just kind of comes off in a flake like that, in these flakes. So that's what we would give to the goats. Here's where we feed the goats. This is down just a chute in the floor. And I open that up like that, put a board there, keep it from falling down, and it goes down there, and there's a manger down there. And so we can just drop hay from up above, drop hay from here, throw it down the manger. Kitty just came in and he went into the hay fort. Here's the hay fort. We're going into the hay fort. Isn't this cool? It's a little hole in the haystack where the kids can come and play. Yeah, kitty. What do you have? Do you have anything gross in here? The cat likes to kill rabbits and bring them in here. And this is actually the cat's lair. Oftentimes we'll find bones of all of his creatures in here. We'll see if we can find any dead creature bones. Oh, what's up, kid? Oh, look, sure enough. I wasn't even just joking. There's a dead rabbit. He's very proud of it, I'm sure. Oh, kitty, did you eat the bunny? Oh my gosh, what did you do? Looks like he ate the head first. That's all that's gone here, is the head. He likes the head first. There's an ear. There's a rabbit ear. And some fur. But it looks like he pretty much ate the rabbit. Yeah, there's not a lot left there of the head anyways. I'm going to get this out of here because otherwise it gets quite gross. He's just curling around my ankle, so proud of himself. This can go over the canyon or something. Something will eat it. I'm not going to eat it, but it will make a hawk or something very happy. Some hawk or owl will say, "Thank you, I didn't need to kill that." I'll just set it there. Sun is still an hour from coming up, but we're going to have a beautiful sunrise this morning. Now that the chores are done, I can get to work for the day. All right, so Eve's got one more chore for me this morning, and I need to create a way that we can lock the goats up in their pen area. We usually just let them free range all summer. They can go wherever they want, just not in our yard, not right around our house. But they like spending a lot of their time with the horses. But when we leave for long periods of time, we make it so we just lock them up in their pen. They've got a pretty large pen area here. They've like got this outside area. They can go down and around here. They can get underneath of this covered roof area. And then they can go up a little stairway there, and into this is the goat house, chicken house, so they can get in there too. That's where they spend the night, where it's a bit warmer in there. The problem is this little door here won't close to be able to lock them in their area. This is their manger from down below. So this is where we saw me throw hay down. Hay went down there, and then it collects in here, down in there. Collects all in there. And then they pick it out of here. And so this grate, I made this grate, I welded this grate. So this grate has the perfect sizes that they can just get their little noses right through, and they only pull out just a little bit of hay at a time. Goats are horrific hay wasters. They will waste so much dang hay. They'll pull it out the moment that it lands on the ground. They don't like eating it anymore. And you can see here that some still makes it onto the ground here. And so we actually take this with a pitchfork and we throw it over the fence, and then the horses will eat this. They don't care if it's touched the ground. But goats are horribly picky. The funny thing about them is they'll go eat off the ground up there with the horses, but when they're down here locked up, they won't eat it once it's on the ground. Horrible, annoying creatures is what they are. For if you make hay and spend money on hay or whatever you do, goats are really annoying in that way. But
This great manger really helps because they can't pull out a whole wad and then drop it on the ground. They can only get out a little bit at a time, and they can stick their noses in here, grab some hay, and pull out what they want, and then they have to eat it, or at least it exerts more energy, so they're trying harder to eat it, and so I think that they waste a lot less of it. Problem here is I need to be able to get this gate to close, and it's hitting the ground, frozen ground, and so I should have cleared all this frozen ground out here before it froze, but I didn't. Now I got to come in here with a tool and chip out the frozen ground. We keep our hand tools in the root cellar here. I've got a little wall, little rack for all this type of stuff. So let's see, what am I going to use? I'm going to use this, and we should have a steel bar. Where's the steel bar? Uh-oh. I thought I put it away. When I was a kid, doing a lot of these chores was a lot harder. We didn't have mangers for the animals to eat out of, roofs, covered roofs with the horses to eat. We didn't have water on tap running. We would go down into the woods and find the water hole, and you chip it open with a metal bar or a tool like this, an axe, something. You go and you chip the ground open, chip the ice out so that the animals can drink. I do that every day, sometimes go 200-300 yards down into the gully, hike down a steep trail somewhere, icy, chip open a water hole. Did that with my dad, and he grew up doing that a lot, you know. And then I did it as much as he needed me to, kind of, or as much as I would do as a teenager. Never liked doing it that much, but I liked having horses and animals and stuff. So I've put a lot of time and energy and money into kind of like infrastructure to create a system here that's pretty easy. But ultimately, it's still a ton of work. So I'm actually going to leave it open right now. That way the goats can get in here later, and then they'll eat with the horses. And this is kind of their last day where they'll be out and about. And then after this, we're locking them up for the winter. They don't mind it so much. They've still got food. They've got water. They've got shelter. What else do you really need in the world? One more very important task before we get out of here on vacation is I got to trim the horse hooves. Come here, girl. Give me your foot. Come on. It's always a chore. Nobody likes it, but very important part of having horses. You got to trim their feet, and I'll tell you what, doing it this time of year, wintertime, it is hard to do. This foot actually looks okay. That foot, I don't really need to do anything with it right now, I don't think. Let's look at the other one. Oh yeah, we can do a little bit to this one, for sure. Okay. Just a little bit. Looks like she doesn't need much. Let's take a look at the back feet. Give me your foot. Good girl. Good girl. There we go. That a girl. See that? Got a goat screwing with my camera. All right. Kind of rest their leg on their leg over my leg. And really, I'm just clipping off. Go on, goat. Go on, goat. Just clipping off. It's like clipping a fingernail, except really thick. We don't shoe our horses. Here, we have pretty soft ground. You got to shoe horses, definitely, if they're riding a lot on hard ground, ground, rocky ground, stuff like that. Whoa, girl. Easy, girl. What's that all about? Good girl. Oh, yeah, she just picked it up for me. All right. Good girl. All right. Good girl. That's 1 out of 3. All right, that's it. It's one horse, got 2 more to do. The other 2 aren't quite as easy usually. That's how you call the goats. That's the Ivan patented goat call. Trimming goat hooves. We got all kinds of things we need to do before we leave on vacation, like trimming goat hooves, trimming horse hooves, making sure all the animals are happy and
healthy. If you don't trim the goat hooves, again, same thing kind of with the horses. They end up kind of, their hooves will kind of roll over and become very unhealthy. And end up, they can kind of cause major ankle and knee problems and stuff. So it's pretty important that goat hooves get trimmed every, I don't know, 6 weeks maybe, something like that. Kind of depends on the area, how rocky the ground is. They grow slower in the winter, so it's not as important.
Okay, we are leaving the homestead. Miracles do happen.
Hopefully we got everything done
Yeah.
that we needed to do.
Everything
Oh my
done.
goes, so many little dirty details, but
So many. It was literally just filling our big giant chicken feeder because I'd forgotten to do that. So Grandma doesn't have to lift 50-pound bags.
I'll bet we still forgot something.
Oh, I'm sure we forgot something.
But anyways, we're on the way.
Woohoo!
Busting out of this homestead.
Hawaii and family home.
We made it to Hawaii.
All our hard work paid off.
We're here. So good. I
Let's
hope
have fun.
we do. Hope you guys like this episode and everything it took to get here. Now we're going to go play and have fun. And we'll see you on the next one.